Welcome once again to A.O.S Abroad. Thank you very, very much for joining today's episode. Really do appreciate every one of you for coming on live. And today we have yet another wonderful topic to talk about. This is a trending um, news. It's one of the articles that we actually wrote on our newsletter, our LinkedIn newsletter. For those of you that don't know, at A.O.S Abroad, we actually write weekly newsletter articles. And on these weekly newsletter articles, if you go on LinkedIn, if you go on Relocation 360 by A.O.S. If you go on Relocation 360 by A.O.S, you are going to see couple of other live sessions, couple of other articles we have written, and the most recent one we just wrote is the one centered on the topic I paid for a fake job offer to move to Canada. Now I am working illegally and living in fear. Now, this is one occurrence that we have been seeing prevalent, especially in the Nigerian community right here in Canada. And as a result of that, today we want to emphasize and we want to talk about this particular issue. Why do we feel it is necessary for us to talk about it? What do you need to know in order to kind of learn from the lessons or learn from the issues some people are currently facing in Canada, and how you can also avert the problem, how you can also do things differently. Because today's article is more or less a story, and it's a story that I actually got to learn about. It's a story that the person involved, you understand, I was opportune to actually talk to the person. For the purpose of confidentiality, we are not going to be saying the person's name. In fact, I use another person's name in place of this person. And it's just something that I feel that a lot of people are already falling prey of it. And that is why I feel today, let's talk about fake jobs and illegal works in Canada. Especially, we are centering our discussion, especially on the story that I was told from by Mrs. Rachel. It's not her real name, Mrs. Rachel. She said, "I paid for a fake job offer to move to Canada. Now I am working illegally and living in fear." So you may want to wonder that how can you pay for a job offer and now you're not working illegally? You paid for something, so why will you have to work illegally and more or less even live in fear? Thank you, Allah, for liking our live session on TikTok. Really do appreciate. So let's look into the conversation. Let's look into the discussion. Let's look into this story. Why is it a story that categorizes many of our Nigerian um, brothers and sisters? Why is it a story that categorizes quite a lot of African um, brothers and sisters living abroad, especially living in Canada, living in the UK? You understand, many of the places I've heard stories, various stories about COSs as well in the UK, and how many people are falling victim of issues as regards the COS. But again, today I want to talk about particularly because I'm in Canada, right? I'm in Canada, so I want to talk about the Canadian work setting and how a lot of people are falling prey. A lot of people are actually coming in and not getting the value of what they actually paid for, or the value of what they expected. And that is why I feel today's story is going to shed more light on what you need to know about jobs in Canada, how you need to protect yourself, and what next you need to do to ensure that if you are in this dilemma, what can you do differently, right? Now, um, this is a story that is centered on Rachel, a single mother of two daughters who is currently struggling with the aftermath of her decision. And she said, in her own words, why buying a job offer and coming on a work permit to Canada was the worst immigration mistake I made. Now you may be wondering, a job offer, right? She got a job offer and she came into Canada as a work permit holder. then what can be as bad as that, right? Is the greener pasture we are seeking not the how would I call it now? To actually get a job, make money, and things like that, right? Okay, so let's look at it. Let's understand what she is saying. You understand, so that you really understand her viewpoint and you be able to know what she actually means by her making this mistake and regretting it. Now, she said, my journey to Canada started with hope and a $25,000 job offer. You know, many times, I know many people that join us are people that are in Nigeria or people that are not in Canada. Many of you may not know the value of the dollars, right? So from Nigeria, for instance, let's look at 25,000. In Nigerian naira, 25,000, if we look at that right now, is roughly 30 million naira. Do you understand? 30 million naira. So this person actually paid 30 million naira to actually get to Canada with a job offer, right? And she said, I wanted to move to Canada. I had done the research, or so I thought. So she thought that she did the research. And but express entry was too competitive. She said, and my score, she means the CRS score, or rather, was low. Then someone whispered what seemed like a shortcut, right? What seemed like a shortcut. And what was the shortcut? The shortcut was, oh, buy a job offer, get a work permit, land in Canada, and sort yourself out later. You know, we have always been talking about this on this channel where a lot of people you tell you go through one pathway. Once you go through one pathway or one route, then when you come in, you can sort yourself out. You understand afterwards, even if that is not a bad advice, or for many people, though. For many people, if they don't consider that as bad advice, there are some things you have to know about that advice. You understand? And I think that is what is this is centered on. You just need to know what you need to know so that if you now decide later on to go through that route, if you decide to use what people are telling you, the advice they are telling you, then you know that no one actually forced you. No one, you understand, forced you to go through a path. You went through the path, and now you understand you will be the one that will benefit from the path. So let's really talk about this. Let's go on the article. This particular person, this particular individual stated, um, she said, so I paid thousands of dollars for a job I would never actually work in. You may be wondering, what does she mean by she paid for a job that she would never actually work in? What does she mean by that? Because a job offer, right, is meant to be an offer of employment. And the offer of employment requires you to actually do a certain job, right? To be in a certain job type, job role, to effect some duties, to do some duties on a daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis, right? Now, so she said, what they don't tell you, who are those they? The agents, right, that help that. She said, when I arrived in Canada on a temporary work permit, so of course, she has already been able to use that work permit to secure a temporary work permit from Canada Immigration Office. She said, when I arrived in Canada on a temporary work permit tied to a specific employer. Now, this is very important. In this place, you really need to understand this. She said, when she arrived in Canada, one, she arrived in Canada as what? She arrived in Canada with a temporary work permit. Now, that temporary work permit, because it is tied to a specific employer, that is what we know as the closed work permit. When they say something is closed work permit, what that just means is that she has to work with a certain employer. She can't leave a specific employer. It is that employer that brought her into Canada, right? And it's that employer she must work with. You understand? For the duration of her contract, either 1 month or 1 year rather, or 2 years. You get? Now she said, I expected to start work immediately. She expected, of course, when she arrived, after she has You understand? Rested for a day or two. You understand the jet lag and everything. The next thing is she should actually get started working in the what? In the company that actually helped her to get the job offer. But she now said, but the company, number one, had no actual position for me. Two, the company was not fully operating as they claimed. So that means what they said they were doing, they were not really doing it fully. You understand? Maybe they were doing part of it, they didn't do the complete thing. But at the end of the day, they had no actual position for her. She was not what the company was not working fully. And three, they said, or they even simply disappeared after the job offer letter was issued. They disappeared, they didn't communicate with her again. She didn't have access to them, she didn't know what to do, right? Now, she said, now I was legally in Canada. She was legally in Canada because, yes, she came in through the temporary work permit, which was a permit that the Canadian Immigration Office gave her to come into the Canada legally. But she was legally in Canada, but illegally working cash jobs to survive. Now, if you remember, we're talking about the closed work permit, right? That's what we also know as the employer-specific work permit, and that means the employer that brought you into Canada is only where you could work. You could only work for that particular employer. But now, instead of her working for that employer, she is now having to work for other employers, mostly illegally, because the government doesn't know or must not know, and she doesn't have access to actually what have access to make money in the job that actually provided her with the contract before she came. So she had to work cash jobs. When you know what cash job means, cash job in Canada just means survival jobs. Another way you can think of survival jobs are jobs that you just do to survive, jobs that you just do for the meantime, jobs that cannot actually give you what we know as permanent residency, or they can't assist you with permanent residency to stay here permanently in Canada. A job that you just do just to get by. You understand? You just do to pay rent, to pay utilities, to be able to afford basic living, right? She said, even though she's in Canada legally, she is just working in legal jobs. She's always constantly anxious about immigration checks because, of course, some of those cash jobs they can go the Canadian Border Services Agency (CBSA) or the IRCC (Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada) or any other forms of officers. It can be law enforcement officers, agencies. They can just come to your cash job location and want to know those people that are working, do they have permits? Do they have work permits? If they even have work permits, fine. Is it the work permits they are meant to have to work in that particular facility? Is it like closed work permit that ties them to their employer, or is it that they are just doing cash jobs and are not documented? And of course, it is a crime to actually work when you are not documented. It is an issue under the law. You understand, to work for someone else that you are not meant to work for, right? Now, she said, now she's in Canada, she's legally in Canada, but she's unable to build a real life or apply for permanent residency without risking everything. She can't build a life, a real life, living off of what? Off of the jobs, the cash jobs she's doing. She can't also apply for permanent because if some of the benefits, some people don't know the benefits of permanent residency. What is the benefit of permanent residency in Canada? Number one, let's take it from the work angle. From the work angle, once you come into Canada or you become a permanent resident in Canada, the world of opportunities for job opens up for you. You'll be able to work even with the government of Canada. You'll be able to work with private firms. You'll be able to work 2 to 3 or more jobs at the same time, as much as you can. If you are like me and you don't even value working for another person, you can actually set up your own business. Do you understand? Set up your own business in Canada and be able to actually not only even earn in Canada. There are many times I do tell people, if you are just thinking of earning in one country, you may be doing yourself a great disservice. You understand? If you are in Canada or even people in Nigeria, sef, Even people in Pakistan, there are a lot of people in India that they are not just earning from where they are. They are not just earning from Nigeria, not just earning from, you understand, Pakistan and India. You understand? On Upwork the other day when I checked, I saw people earning from Canada, from the US, from the UK. You understand? And they have not left their base. They are still in Canada, they are still in India, they are still in Nigeria. So you understand, if you are just coming into Canada and thinking that you will just only be earning in Canada, you'll be doing yourself a great disservice. When your peers are making money, you understand, world over, they are making money internationally. They are making money both nationally and internationally. They are making money both local and what? And foreign. So the question is, but someone that doesn't have permanent residence in Canada will not be able to actually have the opportunity to earn locally and to even set up something to earn internationally. That's one of the big issues that Rachel actually faced. She then said, even worse still, she have stayed in Canada for 1 year plus. She has been in Canada for more than 1 year. You understand? Her two daughters are suffering with her here because the two daughters, especially when they are below 18, they can't work. You have to be the one that you are feeding them. You understand? So they are suffering with her here because she can't really afford to provide for them as she ought to as a parent. Now, this is where one of the benefits of permanent residence in Canada actually falls in. I remember when I was in coming to Canada, I was, you understand, alone. I didn't have any child. When I came into Canada as a permanent resident, even my child is now a citizen because she was born here. And the benefit of that is the government is actually providing support. The government is providing child benefits. The government is providing some other tax benefits that we are having to, you understand, get on a monthly basis. And as a result of that, we know that our child can actually get to suffer because she has access, she has, you understand, status in Canada. The question is now, you, what do you have? You, what do you want to get about the car? You know, sometimes some people say they are even doing two chips, three chips. Like in the situation of this woman, she's doing cash jobs, and many of those cash jobs are gigs, they are shifts. You understand? Especially in the ones that are illegal, though, even though the government must not know that a company is hiring illegal immigrants, you understand, or illegal aliens, or is, you understand, employing someone that they are not meant to employ, someone that they are not authorized to employ, like someone that is working or got a job offer, like in the situation of Rachel, she got a job offer from one company. It is that company she was meant to be working with. Even though she's legal in Canada, she must continue working for that company before the end of the contract, or until after the end of the contract. But now she said the company doesn't even seem to actually be doing what they said they are doing online. The company doesn't really have a real position for her. So she can't just be relying on the company. She had to get other jobs. Now, getting other jobs just means she's actually suffering not only herself, but her two children, her two daughters, because now those ones are relying on her for survivability. And she brought them into Canada when she was coming. So now she has two issues, compounded issues, the issue of herself and the issue of her children, right? Now, she said also, worse still, the so called 2 year work contract that those that sold her the job offer gave her is fast ending because she has been here for 1 year plus. It's fast ending. If you look at this year now, it's almost gone, right? The middle of the year is today. The middle of the year is today, June 30. And if you look at that, we start the next half of the year tomorrow, July 1st. So the question is now, if our contract started on the 1st of 2024, you understand, December 2025 is going to end. So she has to start thinking, how will she survive with with her children in Canada after the 2 years have actually elapsed? So now she's working towards what? She's working towards becoming much more stable, much more grounded in Canada. So the question for you is, how do you want to come into Canada? How do you desire, you understand, to be seen by other immigrants that actually come into Canada? You understand? She said, even worse still, Even our own extended family relatives and the Nigerian banks are already asking for their money. Why? Because she actually loaned some amount to come into Canada. She was able to actually get some, favorable loans. But now, loans will always have its timing, it will always have its duration. Now she has to pay up because she has been here for more than 1 year, and those ones are already expecting their funds. So, in line with her having issues with her children, again, she's also having to pay back some money financially. Even the gigs that she's doing doesn't pay her, you understand, for rent alone, for household items and things like that, talk less of even, you understand, miscellaneous. So, if you look at that, even though she bought a employment offer, a job contract, a job offer for temporary work permit route to Canada, the emotional and legal toll it is having on her is second to none. She said what seemed like a smart walk around, a smart shortcut, a smart way to what? To beat the system of Canadian immigration. It turned out for her to be a what? To be a nightmare. Now, number one, she couldn't change employers without reapplying for work permit, which is not a guarantee she will get it with all the different changes that are going on the policies of Canada immigration right now. Two, she couldn't file for what? Permanent residence without proof of work because she has to show proof of valid work that she's doing in that particular establishment in order to be able to apply for what? Permanent residence. Number three, she couldn't go back without debt, BC, loans. Without loans, debt, you understand, paying those loans. She couldn't go back because of the shame of other people saying, oh, you went, you spent 2 million, what do you call it, $25,000. What did you now bring back? She couldn't go because of the shame and the disappointment. Disappointment not only to herself, but the disappointment on her children's face, the disappointment on her family's face, this disappointment on her work colleagues' face, and other people that are, you understand, that know her. So every job that she took, whether cleaning job, whether warehouse job, whether other under the table jobs, under the table gigs, every job she took was a reminder that what? That she's just surviving. She's just surviving and not thriving, not succeeding, not killing it, not making money in Canada. Right? Now she's now saying what I wish I knew beforehand. What does she know now that she was hoping she knew before now to benefit our immigration journey? Now she said if you are being offered a job offer for sale, people want to sell you a job offer. You understand? Please understand. Number one, she's saying this. A job offer that isn't real will trap you. A job offer that it is fake will trap you. A job offer that causes issues will trap you. You won't be able to legally change your status or employer. If you get a job offer that would give you money or that will give you a job offer and collect money from you, what that is just telling you is that they will not be able to change your status from temporary foreign worker to maybe permanent resident or temporary foreign worker to student you understand? And you won't be able to change employer because the job offer will be linked to just that particular employer. So you have to work for that employer for the duration of the contract, whether 1 year, whether 2 years or more. Right? Two, she said buying a job offer is fraud. If you buy a job offer and the Canadian immigration know about it, is a big crime, a big issue in Canada. It can lead to you being removed from Canada, being what? Being deported. It can lead to inadmissibility, you not being inadmissible to Canada because of the what? Because of the criminal record that you have. It can also lead to what? Lack of permanent residency, not being able to what? To seek permanent residency. Because yes, it is what? It is an issue. It is a crime. So it can lead to permanent residency ban. They can ban you from applying for permanent residence. They can ban you, not only you, your family may be involved, may be affected if you understand, if you get the permanent ban. Now, number three, she said, you may end up worse off than before. Everybody knows that Nigeria is problematic right now. Everybody knows that people are struggling in Nigeria. Everybody sees what is happening on the news. Now, I always give a particular scenario of my own case. I remember when I was in Nigeria around 2018, 2019, and my uncle left for Canada. As at that time, he went for just visit visa. But when he got to Canada through visit visa, he saw how it was nice and he said he decided to stay. Now he's staying in Canada. Do you understand? And when we were talking to him far back 2018, 2019, we were still thanking God for his own life. That, oh, thank God you left Nigeria before everything got worse. I remember I was saying it in 2020. Do you understand? That, oh, he left and Nigeria was lucky, was this, he that, and everything. Meanwhile, my own cousin also left for Canada. Now, understand this. Oh, my cousin went to Canada, you understand, around 2021, 2022. And that time I was still in Canada and I told him, thank God. I was still in Nigeria rather. I told him, thank God that you left that time. Oh. And Nigeria, post-COVID, after the pandemic, you understand, during the lockdown, after the lockdown, that it was really bad. Oh. We were struggling with everything with it. Do you understand? We were lamenting how worse off it was. Do you understand? Now, when me, I also came into Canada, other people were now telling me, you understand, how Nigeria during the T-Pain era, during the new administration era, how it is how it is worse than what I left off during the Buhari regime. So that's to tell you that even though things are getting worse in Nigeria, things are getting bad in Nigeria, even though, yes, people feel that abroad, especially places like Canada, UK, US, are like the heaven, you may end up worse than when you came. You understand? Many of our friends and our family, they actually, because many of them came with permanent residence, like my cousin, my uncle came with visits, but was quickly able to change it to, you understand, apply for asylum and become a refugee with his family. But in some situations, you may end up worse in Canada than how you were in in Nigeria or in other African or Asian countries you're from. You may end up stranded. You may end up with being undocumented. The government doesn't even know you are still here. You may end up being exploited because they know you cannot report. The work employers that employ you, they know you can't report because you don't have any right in Canada as a bona fide immigrant. So they may actually exploit you and you may feel stuck because you may be working for, you understand, maybe like an employer that was meant to pay you $50 per hour or $25 per hour, but end up paying you $8, $9 per hour because they know you can't complain. So please, what are the smarter ways to come to Canada? What are the things you need to know so that you don't fall for the scams that are going on right now? You don't fall for for job offers that they are telling you to actually buy online. Now, Rachel was saying it. He said, if I had another chance again, I would have grown my experience in a high demand field, number one. Number two, I would have built up a profile for Express Entry or Provincial Nominee Program, either Express Entry or PMPs. Number three, I could have applied for real jobs through LMIA, based or backed employers. Number four, or I would have invested legally in a business pathway. Now, these are some people always ask me, what are the ways around many of the things that I'm saying, like the stories I'm sharing. In every story, there's always a way to go about it so that you don't fall into that same story. So go through the smarter ways to come into Canada and abide by it. Now, the person, Rachel, is also giving us a warning. He said, this is your warning. Don't pay agents or consultants promising guaranteed job offer. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. If you have something that is guaranteed, if they tell you something that is guaranteed, it just means that maybe they have 88.9% assurance that this thing will work. Or you understand? Nothing is guaranteed. Some people don't like hearing that, but we just have to be frank with you. You understand? If the offer that they are giving you, or the job that they're giving you, or anything in the contract feels too easy for you to attain, if it feels too fast, that oh, quickly they have brought this, quickly you have started your processing, if it is too quiet, that they are not informing you how they are doing their things, then it's likely what? It's likely a trap, and you have to be very aware. You have to be very careful with that. Now, there's a free guide we want to share how to get legitimate work in Canada. If you need clarity on LMIA, which is the Labor Market Impact Assessment, and real job offers, if you need clarity on switching from a student to a worker the right way, and if you want a work permit that can help you transition to permanent residence, then watch A.O.S webinars video and download the free Canada Work Visa Guide via the link that we shared with you. Now let's talk. Have you been offered a job in Canada before? And do you want to know how it is legit, if it is legit or not? Message us and comment below. We out at A.O.S Abroad, with our immigration partners, we are going to help you make the right call before it gets too late. Now, what is your own next step? Do you have any questions? Have any questions for us? Let's chat in the comment section or DMs. Share your thoughts and share your questions in the comments. Interested in more insights about Canada immigration? Then don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter on LinkedIn at relocation 360 at AO by AOS A.O.S. Now, so you visit the link for more tips and guides, and also updates on the path towards Canadian permanent residence to your international success, A.O.S. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope we got value from everything we talked about. Do you have any questions? If you have any questions, drop it in the comment section. We'll take it before we call it a day today. And if you also want to read the article yourself, just go on LinkedIn, you understand, and type Relocation 360 by A.O.S. You'll see the article in one of the first ones on top. Now, thank you very much. If you don't have any questions whatsoever, don't forget to actually like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on TikTok and Instagram. Don't forget to share, to like, and also hit on the notification bar to get notified anytime we come on live or we actually upload a video. So thank you very much and have a lovely day ahead. Bye for now, everyone. Au revoir. Bye for my what do you call it? My French counterpart.